Latics Player HD finally with the new manager Steve Robinson. Steve, welcome to Oldham Athletic.
Thank you. Yeah, it's taken a couple of days just to get it over the line. No fault of the clubs or anybody else. Just a solicitor thing. So all finally done, and I'm delighted to be here.
It was a long drawn out affair, I'm sure you agree. But from your side, the move's finally sorted. You're looking forward to it?
Most definitely. I didn't apply for the job. I had two fantastic jobs. At Motherwell with Mark McGee, where we were very successful. For second bottom, we ended up fifth in the league. And with Michael O'Neill with Northern Ireland, obviously in the European Championships, and the success we've had over the last 2 years. So it wasn't something that I went looking for. But when I came down and I spoke to the owner, I met Sean, and it really, really excited me. There's a blank canvas here, a real chance to do something with a club that's got a massive history.
Was it arranged to leave Motherwell though?
Most definitely. I've been treated very, very well by the people at Motherwell. With Mark McGee and Alan Burrows up there, and the rest of the staff. It's a super club, and it was a heavy heart that I left with. And there wasn't anybody that really attracted me. I didn't feel like applying for any of the jobs. I never did. But when I come down here, I thought this is the right one. I really like what the owner said to me. He showed me his ideas and ambitions, and obviously I had demands of my own that I wanted met to make sure I was going to be successful, and he's been very good with all that, and it's a real exciting time for the club.
Your playing career started at Spurs, ended at Luton, 450 appearances, 15 international caps as well. So you've done your apprenticeship.
Most definitely. I think I've probably ended up in management the longer route. I've obviously played at a half decent level, and I went back into Northern Ireland, and I worked with the younger age groups all the way through from 17s up to under 21 level, and the last 2 years obviously with Michael O'Neill and the full international squad, taking them to the European Championships, and Motherwell in the SPL as well. So I've definitely done my apprenticeship. Most definitely, I've worked under a lot of brilliant managers. Michael O'Neill's fantastic. He's been a massive guidance in everything, and still will be. Some of the managers I played under in terms of David Moyes, and all the international managers have a lot to go back onto. Mark McGee, he's been fantastic with me, and he will be getting regular phone calls for advice. So I think I'm ready for the job, more than ready, and it was something that I thought, this is really tickled my fancy, and it's a club that's got massive tradition, and I want to get a bit of identity back to the club. I want to take the club forward and move forward together.
As you say, your last game were in the Euros, magnificent Northern Ireland in them, by the way. And the next game will be Oldham Athletic versus Huddersfield Town friendly. Is that a bit of a shock to your system?
No, not at all. The European Championship was a massive occasion, a massive achievement for a country the size of Northern Ireland. We had 38 players probably to pick from, and done what we done. So everyone will be very proud of what they done. And again, it's a heavy heart you leave that job. Michael O'Neill's been my mentor, really, been fantastic with me. So but I thought the time was right, and the game against Huddersfield will be just as exciting to me. We're very much at the start of what we're doing. So in reality, it's probably come a little bit too early by the time the Huddersfield game comes, but it gives us a chance to blood some players, have a look at some trellis, and start building for the season.
And your assistant, Ian Barraclough, you've already mentioned. A bit of a strange one, a role reversal really. You were the assistant at Motherwell, he's the assistant down here.
Yeah, I know. Me and Ian had no connection before I went over to Motherwell. It wasn't a best mate thing, and you scratch my back, I scratch yours. I didn't know Ian. Ian brought me in. He had watched me delivering some A licences and pro licences in Northern Ireland, and invited me in. So I think I don't bring people in to make up numbers. I bring people in that I think is going to benefit the football club and take us forward. And Ian's a fantastic coach. He's very good on the pitch. The boys will like him. He's enthusiastic, and he just brings a positivity to the place that I want to surround myself with. So it was a no-brainer for me. It doesn't matter. We work well together. So I'll make the decisions, and Ian's very much happy being on the pitch.
You mentioned a blank canvas, and that means we need a lot of players, possibly 15. So how are you going on the search for players?
That was a nice way of saying it. Of course, listen, we're a week behind everybody, maybe 2 weeks behind everybody in terms of our search for players. But I can assure you, I've been in the building for 2 days. We have already signed 3 players. We've brought Conor Ripley in, Lee Irwin from Leeds, Conor Ripley from Middlesbrough, Premiership goalkeeper in the making. We've brought Josh Law in, who's got a lot of games under his belt in the SPL. I've agreed to deal with another left back, and we're actively in discussions with 3 or 4 players, including 2 centre halves and another centre forward. So we've made a lot of progress in 2 days. So a blank canvas, it means that I can bring the players I want in. albeit within our budget. We haven't got the biggest budget in the league by any stretch of the imagination, but it gives us a platform to work from. We've got, as I say, I've got Sean O'Driscoll in with me, who's a great sounding board. I've got Lee Turnbull in as well, and Carlo Nice as goalkeeping coach. So I don't think you can get any more experience than that. The boys have been there and done it. They'll help me out with the decision making and a massive guidance in terms of players. So we're getting there. We've made big strides in 2 days.
It's all very exciting. It's all very new. But what's the gaffer's vision for Oldham Athletic?
Oldham Athletic is a club for me that's got a great tradition. It's got a massive background. They've been there and they've done it. They've managed to stay in this division for a long time now, and I think now is the time to try and kick it on. We need to give it a direction. The club have maybe lost a little bit of direction. We need to give it a direction and get it back again. And our aims are to put a structure in place. That there's a structure that secures the future of the club. Brings young players through, puts an energy and a pace and enthusiasm into the club, and that's what I intend doing. From scratch in terms of the staff. It was a blank canvas with the staff as well. We had no strength and conditioning. We're looking at bringing young boys in to help us out with that. We've invested in 20 GPS units, which is taking us into the modern era of football. There's not many clubs or players that I've worked with that haven't used the systems, and we're doing that, and the owner has completely backed everything we've done and suggested over the last 48 hours, and we're making big strides very quickly. It'll take time. It's not a commodity that's readily available in football, but I ask the fans, keep the faith. That's what they say. Keep the faith in the club, keep the faith in what we're trying to do, because for the future and long-term future of Oldham, we will make it better.
What can the fans expect on the pitch? What I mean by that, is it all-out attack? Is it a mix? Is it long ball? Is it football? What's the Steve Robinson side look like?
Listen, they'll have a structure of play. I'm very organised. The staff are very organised. When we work with teams like Northern Ireland, we're not ever going to have the best players in the world. We're never going to have 100% possession against the teams we play against. So I've been brought up in structure, on a good shape to the team, well organised, disciplined and set plays. But any team I've been involved with, we do play attractive football. We play on the other half of the pitch. We put crosses into the box and we try and play with the pace and energy, and I think that'll be reflected in the players we try and bring to the club. There will be a pace about them. There'll be an energy and enthusiasm, and in the end of the day, that's what the fans want to see. That they want to see 100% commitment. They want to see people that'll actually run for the badge, and they'll run and play and show enthusiasm, and that's what we want. That'll be our number one priority.
To close, I believe that you're the only man in the club who can understand what Carl Winchester says.
Even I can't understand what Carl says. No chance. I've worked with Carl since he was 15, 16 years of age. He's a bright talent. Carl's somebody that needs to go and fulfil his talent now on a regular basis. We put a structure in place and a team unit in place that'll help him do that, then brilliant. But Carl has to buy into what we're doing, and I know he will. He's a super boy with a lot of talent that we need to bring out.
Steve, we wish you all the very best. Thanks for talking to us.
No problem. Thank you.